Could Kyrie Irving be returning sooner than we expected? We'll talk about that on today's show. Plus, this Mavericks trend that I told you about last week has continued, and it is trending worse and worse for the Mavericks as the season rolls on. All that's coming up on today's show, but I want you guys to start us off down in the comment section. 2-4 through 6 games of this season. What is your concern level on the Mavericks right now? Scale it from 1 to 10 down in the comments. 10 being the alarms are sounding, 1 being you are not concerned whatsoever. Let me know down there in the comments. We'll start here with the Kyrie Irving update. Welcome into the show. Jeffrey Cooperstein here. Hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. Mavericks do play tonight against the Houston Rockets, so we'll keep you up to date with all of everything surrounding that. But I did want to get to this update here on the show, and it was something that I frankly was not expecting, as Jason Kidd alluded to Kyrie Irving potentially returning to action with the Mavericks before the calendar year ends. Yes, before we go to 2026. Jason Kidd says he's hoping to have Kyrie back on the court with the Mavericks. And here was his exact quote after the Mavs vs. Pistons game on Saturday night. "We just can't wait to get Kai back at some point. Hopefully, it's in the year 25, not 26, but we'll see what happens." And when I heard that and saw that, I was like, that's really interesting. That the original timeline for the Mavericks was late January for Kyrie. So this would be about a month ahead of schedule to when the Mavericks originally thought they were going to have him back. And this would be a very, very quick recovery for Kyrie Irving, who tore his ACL on March 3rd in a game against the Kings. And then he had surgery on March 26th. So if you do the math there, if the Mavericks were to get him back in the final month of December, that would be right at 9 months recovery time from the time Kai had surgery to the time he would be back on the court. Now, every time we see Kyrie, whether it's in practice, whether it's at a game, he looks good. He looks like he's moving well, and he's not 100% fully yet, and you can tell, but he does look like a guy who could be nearing a return to full action on a basketball court. And that is a very intriguing thing to see, that he is ahead of schedule, so to speak. And like we said, 9 months is the typical minimum for an ACL recovery, and that's where we would be if Kyrie were to return at the end of December. And look, I can see why Jason Kidd would want to kind of push the button here. The Mavericks have absolutely been disastrous as far as taking care of the basketball goes and their playmaking goes. Let's take a look at the turnovers by game for the Mavericks through the first 6. 16 against the Spurs, 21 against the Wiz, 20 against the Raptors. Ironically enough, their best mark of the season was against the best defensive team in the Oklahoma City Thunder, the team that hounds you the most and forces the most turnovers. And then another 19 against the Pacers. Oh yeah, and another 15 against the Pistons in Mexico City. This number, which is 16.7 per game, ninth worst in the NBA. Oh, and by the way, if you take out that outlier against the Thunder, which I think is absolutely crazy that was their best mark of the season, the Mavericks would be number 1 in the NBA in turnovers per game if you don't count that Thunder game. But of course you have to count it because it's part of the 6 games they played. And I absolutely can see why Jason Kidd would be publicly clamoring for Kyrie to return, because it is just simply a not sustainable way to play basketball. You are not going to win basketball games turning the ball over almost 17 times a night. And that's where the Mavericks are right now, and 21st in the NBA at 16.7 per game. You need Kyrie Irving back, who is your floor general, your coach on the court, your guy who is going to take care of the basketball, who is going to play make, who is going to put guys in position to win. And I really don't think it's the whole Cooper Flag is playing point guard, and that's the reason why the Mavs are turning it over so much. Yeah, Flag starts the games at point guard, but he doesn't really play much PG as the game goes on. D'Angelo Russell is the first sub in, usually through the first 6 games, and you're using Brandon Williams a lot as well. So this team, while they're starting Flag at PG, he really isn't playing that much point guard. And against the Pistons, he had 4 assists to just 1 turnover. So he really has not been the main problem. It has been just the overall just lack of ball security. For lack of a better term there, they just have not done it, especially late down the stretch when they're trying to make runs and in the fourth quarter of basketball games. It simply hasn't been good enough. So I can see why J. Kidd would want to bring Kyrie back sooner rather than later. You just got to hope that Kyrie is 100%. He's ready to go. I would assume that when he returns, he would be on a minute restriction of some sort. But getting your best player back, I will never, ever shy away from, and I will never, ever tell them that they shouldn't try to get him back as soon as they can. Because God knows if this team wants any chance whatsoever, they need Kyrie Irving back, and they need a good Kyrie Irving back. Take a guess, though, down in the comments. This will be today's pin question. Will Kyrie play in the year 2025? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I'm leaning no. I still don't think we're going to see Kyrie until at least January of 2026. Maybe you guys are more optimistic than myself, though. Let me know down there in the comment section. And while you're commenting, please be sure to hit that subscribe button because we have year-round Mavs coverage, the latest news and rumors and analysis from every single game, free agency and draft coverage as well. We were live for both free agency and the NBA draft where the Mavericks selected Cooper Flagg. We also do live watch parties, and we will be live this Wednesday on the channel. So come hang out and join the over 32,000 subscribers that have already subbed to Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. We're going to have a blast on Wednesday. The first two have been really fun. Can't wait to hang out with you guys once again this coming Wednesday. Now some other Mavericks injury updates, and there are quite a few injury updates that we have to get to here. We'll start with Dereck Lively, who just cannot stay on the court and has not been able to stay on the court through his first 3 seasons in the NBA. He's got a right knee sprain that the Mavericks originally called a contusion. Example 300,424 of the Mavericks lying about injuries. Originally, it's called a contusion. Now it's a sprain. He'll be out for at least the next week, I think. And we don't really know what the official timeline is beyond that because the Mavericks really haven't said what the official timeline is beyond that. And in the case of Dereck Lively, it's getting to a point where the Mavericks have to make a decision on whether they're going to pay him or not. He is extension eligible this summer after year 3. And if I was the Mavericks front office, there is no way I'm giving Lively a multi-year extension for a lot of money because he has not proved that he can stay on the court. Now, this is obviously subject to change. If he comes back from this knee sprain, stays healthy the entire season, and plays in about 70 games, then all right, you can have a conversation about giving him an extension. But as we sit here right now, there's no chance I'm extending Dereck Lively this summer. I just can't pay him. I can't justify it given his lengthy injury history. I just simply can't do it. If I was the Mavericks, I would certainly have to think twice about giving Dereck Lively an extension if the injury bug does continue with him. We'll get to the rest of the injury updates here in just a moment, but before we do that, today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Football season is in full swing. The weather is changing. Go get started with PrizePicks today, where it is good to be right. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, and the football action is even better here on PrizePicks. Get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 and keep the season rolling. It's simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2-player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in, and you can play in over 40 states, including California, Georgia, and, of course, Texas. They put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks now offers Venmo, Apple Pay, and Cash App for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Basketball is obviously fully underway, but so is football, and the Cowboys do play football tonight, Monday Night Football for the Cowboys. Give me the more on Dak Prescott pass yards at 268.5. Also take the less on George Pickens receiving yards at 64.5. And give me the more on Trey McBride, half a rushing or receiving touchdown. You can copy my picks or make picks of your own. Just please make sure you do it over at PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 bonus after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, that is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link is in the comments and description. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. On the plus side of the injury report for the Mavericks, Daniel Gafford did make his season debut against the Pistons in Mexico City. He is on a 15 to 20 minute restriction. He ended up playing in 17 minutes against the Detroit Pistons, where he had 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists as well. He was 2 of 3 from the field. And in his limited action, Gafford did actually end up starting this game as well in the absence of Dereck Lively and Anthony Davis. Look, this team needs Daniel Gafford back, and they need him healthy, and they need him able to play a full allotment of minutes. And when Gafford is at his perfect health and in perfect form, I think the 23 to 26 minute range is the perfect minute allotment for Gafford. He's not a guy who really should be playing 31 to 32 minutes in any game because the longer he goes in a game, the less effective he is. got to find that sweet spot, and hopefully this ramp up will certainly help him. I imagine he'll play again tonight against Houston, probably around 20 minutes, and the Mavericks will continue to try to get him into game shape. I'm just asking for all three bigs to be healthy at once. Like, when was the last time the Mavs had Lively, Gafford, and Davis all healthy? I don't know if it's happened in the Anthony Davis era so far. AD got injured in game one, and you maybe had them near at the end of the season where all three bigs were playing in the same game, but it hasn't happened once this season yet, and I'm not sure it's going to happen anytime soon, given the Anthony Davis injury and given the Dereck Lively injury. I just want all three of these guys to be healthy at once so we can actually see what this team is capable of on the defensive end and this vision that guy, so to speak, has for this squad. And speaking of AD, I think this is optimistic, but you never really know when it comes to Anthony Davis. He did an aggressive on-court workout in Mexico City. He went really hard about 30 minutes before the game, right before the team took the floor for the game. So it looks like he is working out, and he says he's feeling better, getting better day by day. And this injury to his lower left leg, whatever you want to call it, this low-grade calf strain, whatever you want to call it, should not be that big of a problem. But you know it's Anthony Davis. He's not going to play tonight against the Houston Rockets. Maybe he plays on Wednesday. That remains to be seen. But look, I'll believe AD is on the court when I see it. If the Mavericks, I'm just going to assume that he is not playing until further notice. So that's where I'm at with Anthony Davis. I hope he plays sooner rather than later, but I'm just not holding my breath when it comes to anything on AD. So he's out tonight versus Houston, and then the rest is up in the air. This got me thinking, though, with all the updates from Kyrie and from Anthony Davis, who is the most important player to the Mavericks right now? Like, who hurts the Mavericks more when they are not on the court, I guess is what I'm trying to ask you. If you think it's Kyrie Irving type 11, if you think it's Anthony Davis type 3 down below, I can absolutely see arguments for either of them, but let me know down in the comments who you think the Mavericks' most important player is. That will do it for today's show, guys. Appreciate you for tuning into the show. As always, we will have you up to date with everything surrounding the Mavericks versus Rockets, and we'll have another video later in the week, and we'll be live on Wednesday for the Mavericks game. So hit that subscribe button at youtube.com/MavsTV, and we'll see you guys soon here on the channel.